I'd like to call the 24th of November meeting of the Richfield Planning Commission to order. The first thing on the agenda would be the roll call. Can we say who's here, please? Starting with the
Good evening, Commissioner Keneally checking in. Commissioner Hui?
Commissioner Tarleton?
Holmbeck Johnson.
Commissioner Sturza.
All right, the next thing on the agenda is the open forum. This is an opportunity for residents and community members to address the Planning Commission generally on items not on the agenda. People can participate in written comments or virtually. Planner Crosby, have we received, or Planner Villa, have we received any comments?
Chair and Commissioners, no, we have not.
All right, seeing no one here, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda for tonight?
Commissioner Keneally, so moved.
Commissioner Tarleton seconds.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of approving the agenda, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the agenda's been approved. The next item would be the approval of the minutes from the regular Planning Commission meeting of September 22nd. We would need a motion to approve those.
Commissioner Keneally moves to approve the minutes.
Commissioner Tarleton seconds.
All right, moved and seconded to approve the minutes. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. I don't believe we have any presentations. Is that correct? So the next thing would be a public hearing. It is a public hearing to consider requests for an interim use permit to allow temporary and occasional parking on a vacant lot adjacent to the Lake Winds Co-op. Do you have a report for us?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Lake Winds Co-op has submitted an application for an interim use permit to utilize the vacant and unpaved lot south of their property for approximately 122 days a year for the next 5 years, which is the maximum term afforded by the zoning code. Lot 4, an adjacent but entirely separate lot from the Lake Winds Co-op lot, was acquired by the grocery store in 2016. At that time, the co-op requested and was granted a 2-year interim use permit to utilize the lot for occasional employee parking. The IUP was granted on the basis that the need for long-term parking in the area would be better evaluated once the parcel to the north was developed. Development of the parcel to the north of Lake Winds has proven to be slower than anticipated. Additionally, in the years since the previous IUP expired, Lake Winds' customer base has grown significantly, which in turn puts continued strain on the availability of parking, as explained in the attached request letter, which you can see for more information. Parking is not permitted as the primary use of a parcel. In order to develop Lot 4 into permanent parking, it would need to be formally combined with the Lake Winds lot, and the planned unit development would have to be amended. An IOP would afford Lake Winds more time to evaluate long-term needs in conjunction with the eventual development of the northern parcel. Building more parking when it is truly not needed would be unfortunate and goes against the premise that property should be used for the highest and best use. Staff finds the request reasonable, as in 2016, only minor maintenance of the lot as opposed to paving and striping is recommended. Paving and striping could encourage regular use of the lot by non-employees, which is not the intent. Appropriate signs and landscaping, as required in the draft resolution, will further prevent non-employee parking. The applicant is also here, or a representative for the applicant is also here if you'd like to hear from them as well.
Thank you. Would you like to approach? And if you wouldn't mind just saying your name and where you're from.
Hello, my name is Greg Dick. I'm here on behalf of Lake Winds Food Co-op. My role is general manager at the co-op, and I want to thank you very much for your willingness to take our application for this purpose, and I also would like to thank the city staff for the support that they've provided in guiding us through the application process.
Are there any questions from commissioners? Actually, I'm wondering, 5 years is an awful lot of time, and this is going back all, it's been almost 10 years now. Where did you arrive at the 5-year figure, and is it possible that something will happen with that parcel? Because from what I understand, it was not design, but there was some expansion that was put off or something. What's the long-term plan that the co-op has?
Thank you. As the lot exists now, it is essentially a parking lot. And the planned unit development, as I understand it, considered that to be used differently. And in the 11 years that our co-op has been on premise here in Richfield, our business has grown considerably, 3 times since opening, and that we're finding on our busiest days to accommodate the community of Richfield and Bloomington and South Minneapolis that largely comprise our ownership, that lot makes it feasible for us to support our business. The term of 5 years was, as I understood it, the longest amount of time that could be applied for. And so we pursued that, knowing full well that as we continue in our business here, that its use as a parking lot would serve our co-op very, very well.
So are you anticipating that in 5 years you'd like to come again and request an extension to continue to use it for parking?
If not before then.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Commissioner Hui, the, approximately 122 days a year, I guess, like, how is that monitored? Like, is it just like when the lot is full, you find people using it approximately that often? Can you kind of add some guidance there?
Definitely can. The 122 days was derived through carefully calculating our busiest days, which are Tuesdays of the year, to support our senior discount day. Sundays are a very busy day for individuals to shop to prepare for the week. And then the other days to bring the 122 to balance includes the days leading up to Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter, as well as the scheduled community events that occur, at least currently, at the amphitheater. That comprises the 122. You're welcome.
Commissioner Keneally, you mentioned the amphitheater. I read your letter. You mentioned that it's common for members of the public to access the amphitheater in Richfield Lake by parking in your lot and sharing that space with your employees.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Mornings on weekdays and even on weekends, we'll see a number of people amass even prior to the opening of the co-op with dogs and strollers and things of that nature. And so it is a jumping off point for people's recreation around the lake and amphitheater.
I'm included in that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We may have you come back up here if there are other questions, if you want.
Thank you.
I would like to then open the public hearing. Did you receive any comments beforehand?
Chair, we did not.
Is there anyone here to speak to that? All right, I would accept a motion to close the public hearing.
Commissioner Hui motions to close the public hearing.
Commissioner Charlton seconds.
Moved and seconded to close the public hearing. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? The public hearing is closed. We need a motion to take the staff recommended action, and then we can have discussion on that.
Commissioner Keneally, I would like to move that we take the staff recommended action
All right,
as outlined in our packet.
Commissioner Stursa seconds.
thank you. All right, any discussion?
My only question is, what happens if someone wants to build on that parcel in the next 5 years? Does this preclude that from being developed, or what would happen?
Not necessarily. I mean, if it's owned by the co-op, and I mean, I don't think they have any plans to necessarily sell it, but the IUP would basically be, it expires either upon, the 5 years ending, or the conditions of the approval not being valid anymore. So, I mean, no, to answer your question, the answer is no.
I think it's reasonable. That was just my one question I was concerned about. So.
Yeah.
I would echo Commissioner's comments that I think that this is a reasonable request, and I support it. And I support it for 5 years.
Commissioner, I just have some questions for staff, I guess. With, the location of it, obviously it's landlocked from the public road by the other parcel. I guess I'm not understanding why it wasn't initially part of the original parcel. Why wouldn't they just combine the parcels? Would then that create an issue with the overall land use? Do we want to create a situation where we're constantly revisiting this every 5 years? What's the benefit to that of just like finding a more permanent solution for this, I guess, from the staff's perspective?
Yeah, so it's kind of a bit complicated. Like the history of the entire Lindale Gardens PUD is very complicated. I don't really have an answer as to why it was excluded. It's always kind of been to the side. Like if you go back through like staff reports and resolutions and stuff, this Lot 4 has always kind of been to the side, and depending on which documents or which staff reports you read, it was planned for any number of things. Like I've seen it was considered to be green space at one point. It was considered to be perhaps developed in the future, although you're right, it is a landlocked parcel, and it's not really developable by itself. Like it would have to be platted differently, maybe like part of the other parcel given so it can have street frontage. At one point, it was in some other documents. It was considered as an actual permanent parking lot or even parking structure. So it seems like the I guess the plans or the vision for this lot has kind of always been outside of the PUD, and it could really go either way, which is why we're kind of on the side of we really don't think that if it's truly not needed, that we shouldn't have more surface parking, because that's not a good idea overall. But this PUD in general is really unique in that there's so many different uses that in 5 years possibly it does make sense for there to be more surface parking, because the lot to the north, hopefully by that point there will be some more permanent plans for it to be developed, which would kind of add to the, I guess, need for more parking, because then there would be another use. So yeah, it's complicated. I think we're just erring on the side of caution and truly just seeing if we can explore all options to see if can we actually develop this in the future, leave that open. But if in the future the additional permanent parking really is needed, then that's also an option. There would be a lot of there'd be a process to go through that. We'd require a parking study showing that the additional need for parking is actually there. Like we're not just going to grant it just because it's being requested. The PUD would have to be amended. The lot would have to be combined with the Lakewinds lot. So it would be a truly like kind of permanent thing. So we think this is a good middle ground.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess my feelings on it, I would love to see it not be a surface parking lot. Obviously, that's what it's been for a while now. And it feels like every time we renew for 5 more years, we're kind of settling into that as this is what it is. And it kind of feels like we're moving farther away from that. And we're also not imploring Lakewinds to figure out what a world without that looks like. And when we maybe someday get to a place where we do have an opportunity for someone comes in and wants to purchase it, there's more friction there kind of holding it in the steady coast of things. And that's my main concern. I mean, I don't, right now, knowing the storied history of Lot 4, like, that seems unlikely, but also we're kind of continuing that narrative, I guess, by going with the flow, I guess. And I'm open to be kind of persuaded either way, but that's my broader concern outside of just this moment and this decision.
I share your concerns, and I am strongly, I don't think 5 years with the possibility for an extension is appropriate or aligns with the direction that we're trying to go in terms of sustainable development and use of land space. And I mean, the amount of parking spaces exceeds other large volume food co-ops in the Twin Cities by significant margins. So I I think it's a lot of parking, and for 5 years with then another opportunity to renew, I don't think that that is imparting the sense of urgency on more sustainable use of land in the city. So I'd like to move to reduce it from a 5-year approval to a 3-year approval with administrative approval available for an additional 2 years, but by default to 3 years. So I'll move to amend the staff recommended action to reduce from 5 to 3 years with administrative approval for 2 additional years. I would need a second to do that.
I'd second that.
Okay. Is there any discussion on the amendment?
Discussion on the amendment. My concern about limiting the interim use permit, especially if it's renewed by administrative approval, is that I think we know that right now this is not an ideal time to be. We're seeing a slowdown of redevelopment. It's not likely that the environment is going to thaw anytime soon. And also, we have a north parcel that, while I believe the ownership is different, there is this like unknown about the north parcel right there. And I would hate for us to require something on this small little parcel that Lake Winds owns that could be better utilized once we see something come in north. Like, the proximity, it just feels like, why would we force the hand at something in a tough economy when we still hope for something on that land just directly north of Lake Winds?
Can I ask a follow-up question on that, Commissioner Shrestha? I'm trying to understand the push and pull there. To me, it almost seems like if we have a shorter term on it and they have to come back and request it, if something does start activating on that north parcel, hopefully, having not having this parcel locked in might give us the option of okay, we have a more timely moment to kind of maneuver all these things together rather than, well, this is locked in for another 3 years now, so there's not a chance of this happening, and this is happening now, and this can't be, we can't push them to do anything different for another 3 years. Am I misunderstanding what you're saying?
Well, I just don't, I don't perceive an interim use permit as locking anyone into anything. So perhaps it's just a difference of opinion, but there's nothing, Lake Winds owns this land. Lake Winds will continue to own this land until they decide they want to do something with it. I don't think that there's nothing that by approving it for 5 years Lake Winds will say, oh, there's this great opportunity, but we need to wait another 2 years for the interim permit to expire before we pursue it. I don't foresee that happening. And I'm just comfortable with the 5 years, knowing what we're seeing with redevelopment right now. I
agree with you on the timeline of redevelopment. I'm not optimistic that those 2 years are going to make a huge difference, but I would love to leave the options open so that I guess the picture I see is like, if something does happen and then that 2 year moment, that the difference of 2 years to 3 years comes, you're like, well, someone else wants to purchase this from you and redevelop it. We can't force you to do that, but we don't want this to be parking anymore. We want it to be a greater space that contributes to the combined unit of this space and this frontage on the lake. And we want this to be used in its intended purpose now, and we no longer want it to be parking. And then it would be on their hands. We at least have a little bit of say. And it's not a war against Lake Winds by any means, but I just want to,
And I
would love to see a return to that.
I'm sorry to
yeah.
overlap. I think until, I'm okay, I'm not a fan for overparking anything. I'm not someone who thinks that parking lots are, for the benefit of Richfield residents or that we need to start having more parking. But I do think that until we have a better sense of what's going to go in on that north lot, having some flexibility with land in that area is to everyone's benefit. So that's why I'm more open to this. And people are the general public are using the parking. You can see how full it's just, until we know what the north lot looks like, I feel like the flexibility of this arrangement benefits a lot of people, including the general public. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I would just like to say, I understand your concerns greatly, but the reality is, I don't want that to be a parking lot in 10 years. I don't think that that's in alignment with any of the work that we've been trying to do, or that the city council has been trying to do, or the policy direction that we want to take as a city. So to give a blanket 5 years, I mean, it's been since 2016, and then another 5 years. The whole point is, I mean, my amendment effectively allows for 5 years because it's 3 years with the allowance of administrative approval for an additional 2. But it's not just an automatic. I want there to be thought about what else this land can be used for, and not just an assumption that it'll come before us, we'll rubber stamp another 5 years, and then it continues to be used as parking, because I don't think that that's what this community needs. So, I mean, so that was the point of my amendment. They still have the possibility for 5 years, but 3 years guaranteed, and then administrative approval for 2 more. So that was my attempt with this proposed amendment to strike some balance there. So we do have the amendment before us. It's been moved and seconded. Unless there's more discussion on the amendment, we can take a vote on that and then return to the main motion. So the amendment before us is to change the staff recommended action from 5 years approval to a 3-year approval with the option for administrative approval for an additional 2 years. So all those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye.
Are we inviting further discussion or no?
Well, we've had having that. Was there more discussion?
I've been waiting, sorry.
No. Go ahead.
I want to echo Commissioner Stursa that the amount of time doesn't feel important to me right now because they own the lot and they can use it as they see fit at whatever time they decide.
Well, I mean, that's not really true, though. You
Well,
can't.
what I mean by whatever they see fit in this context, they can use it as a parking lot permanently if they go through that
They would.
process.
I mean, it would have to come before, because they're already over the parking as for that.
I want to make
size.
sure I'm understanding this right, just with you, that if they were to come before us as the owner of this lot and say, we do want to use it for parking at any time, they have the option to go through that application.
Sure, but it would be an application.
And they only want to do that if it's absolutely necessary. And we can allow them as much time as they want to determine if it's necessary, which is up to 5 years. So by allowing them that time, we're making it possible that it isn't turned into parking permanently.
I understand what you're.
And I just wanted to make sure that we didn't see that we were interfering.
Well, I mean, fundamentally, right, we've had owners who wanted to come before and put a swimming pool in their yard, but it doesn't meet the square footage requirement. So we have rules, and so yes, they're the property owner, but.
Yes, and they're.
And I mean, fundamentally, is the parking lot the best use of that space long-term?
I trust them as the property owner to make that decision when, at the time they feel they need to. And I don't think that we need to tell them, hey, this is the time when you should make the decision.
Okay, so I suppose that would be analogous then to a private homeowner who wants to create a larger driveway because they want a bigger car. Would we trust them to decide how they want to use their driveway?
If it's allowed within city code, then the analogy, yes, I would support it. If it's not allowed within a city code, then I would say that's not a fair analogy.
But isn't the
I
entire
would
point
just,
this
Commissioner Stursa, that I think, extension of a driveway, swimming pool, those are all variances. with very specific criteria. This is a planned unit development, which is just legally just a different animal in my mind. It's a different standards, different things guidance that we should be using and approving. The whole idea behind a planned unit development is that there is flexibility. The city gets something, the developer gets something. So I would caution us not to think of this as a variance process, because the standards for a variance are so much more strict and guided for us than granting an interim use in a planned unit development. I would strongly encourage us not to use the same guidelines with that.
That's fair. But a planned unit development is to allow flexibility, but also it's to encourage, what is the exact wording, the best and highest use, right? So it's not carte blanche to a property owner to do whatever because it's in a planned unit development. That's the whole point, is that they have to come and request things, and then there's give and take, there's flexibility. And it may just fundamentally come down to difference of opinion, and that's perfectly fine. I just don't think that the best and highest use of that land is a permanent parking lot. And I feel like it's been since 2016. They initially asked for 2 years for 45 days a year. And then it's been now, and that's almost 10 years ago. And now they want another 5 years with the potential to come back and ask for more. And I think that we ought to set some guardrails here, or some guides to say that this is not the highest and best use. So that, I mean, they have the ability to get 5 years. I'm just saying that it can't just be an automatic carte blanche, that they would need to go to city staff after 3 years and explain, no, we don't have any other ability, we still need the space, and then if it's appropriate, staff can extend it another 2 years. So, I mean, I don't think any of us want massive extra parking. And I think you're right. A planned use development, we do need to strike a balance. And so that's what I attempted to do with the amendment. And obviously, different opinions. It's all good.
And for a question for staff, I'm looking at a map right now. It looks like there's 20 spots on Lot 4 kind of guided. I know that they're not lined or anything like that, but how big is that lot? Are we thinking that you could just build a building on Lot 4? Are we thinking to the point that we want to see its highest and best use? What could you do on Lot 4?
Lot 4 is a smaller parcel. It's not even half an acre. And like I mentioned earlier, it doesn't have any street frontage. So by itself, it's not really developable. So it's really a case of it could kind of go either way, to be honest. This parcel doesn't seem like it was very well planned. It's not really entirely clear what it was meant for. So that's why I mentioned earlier that even though we're not in favor of more surface parking when there's already a lot, it seems like it could be a reasonable use because of just the way it is. It's difficult because we don't want more surface parking, but it does truly seem like it could be reasonable here in the future, especially with that northern parcel, with the amphitheater that has that generates a really large parking demand during the summer, and the amphitheater itself doesn't really have a designated parking area. So it is difficult, but yes, you're right. You could put something there, but it's very small, doesn't have frontage, and yeah.
Thank you.
Well, no, but I mean, rain gardens or greenery instead of parking, I think, to attract bees and butterflies and all that kind of stuff. That, to me, that's a better use than more surface parking.
One thing I'm concerned about, though, if we take this other parking area away, would a logical next step be that Lakewinds just locks down their parking lot for their own people and their own, I feel like there's also the possibility that, we could take away parking lot I've used as a public person before to get access to the lake. And that would be the other thing I'm kind of concerned about, and it's kind of alluded to in the letter here. So I don't know. I'm fully in line with Commissioner Sursa, I guess. I think 5 years is good, and I worry that if we take that option away, it's going to cause more issues than harm, I guess.
Commissioner Hui, I'd like to reply to that, I guess. I mean, the same could be true if we give them 5 years or not. Like, they're a lot, they could do what they want with it. One thought I had as we're having this conversation, and, you know, hopefully in the future when this area continues to be more developed, maybe we would want to consider some form of more dense parking there, like some kind of garage or something that the city, you know, partners with private landowners to fund and develop and something, figure out a shared thing, because that area is dense and we want to encourage density there. So, so I'm thinking like 50th and France kind of thing, where they've got a space for folks to access that area and it continue to be walkable. But I think what it comes down to is 5 years, 3 years with a 2-year, you know, I like that it just gives a little more friction. It just forces us to think about it more often than getting into the vibe of, all right, 5 more years, 5 more years. Let's just, you know, none of us will be here in 5 years. Maybe some of us will be. And this conversation will come up again, and I worry that, you know, it's just going to keep going on, and we don't know what the world will be like in 5 years or 3 or 10. So I would just like us to force some mindfulness around this, I guess. That's kind of my motivation for the chair's position.
Okay, so let's go back to the amendment, and we'll take a vote on the amendment, and then we'll return to the main recommended staff action. So on the amendment to change from 5-year approval to a 3-year approval with administrative extension possible for up to 2 more years, all those in favor of that amendment, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Nay. Okay, the amendment fails. So back onto the main motion, which is the staff recommended action. Is there any further discussion on that?
Commissioner Stursa, I'll move it.
Well, it's already been moved and seconded, so we don't need another movement. My question, I just had one more question. With the, for SEP, with the 5-year, the original staff recommended action, there was a reference to administrative approval for extension of that. I'm not finding that. Is there?
Chair, yes, it was something that the applicant had requested in their request letter. They were asking if there was a possibility of being granted the 5 years and then having the option for like further administrative approvals, but that is not an option.
That's not in the.
That's not an option, no. When the 5 years is
Sure.
over, they would
It's
have
the
to come
maximum.
back and do the entire thing again, yes.
Okay, so then we're on to the main motion. It's been moved and seconded to take the staff recommended action. So all those in favor of that, unless there's any other discussion, I'm sorry. Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor of that, please say aye.
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 And opposed, no.
Nay.
All right, the next.
Is that a 3-2 carries?
Yes, sorry, I'm sorry, yes, the motion carries for the staff recommended action, thank you. The next item on the agenda then would be liaison reports. And I don't have the list right in front of me of who's who. I did, and then I closed out of it. Let's start with Sustainability Commission.
Big thing was the pumpkin smash, which was a big success. Other than that, that's the only thing that was in the notes.
And, as I recall, there's Stephanie, she sent in her liaison report, is that correct? Do you want to read that one then?
Sure. She said that Loma Bonita opened on November 1st, and, she's the Chamber of Commerce, by the way.
Yes,
And it was a welcome addition to the Richfield Hub, and prior to them, the lot was vacant for 7 years. And also that the Coven is planning on moving into the old Richfield Medical Group. In either May or June of 2026, they have 8 current locations and offer space memberships conference room rentals, dedicated desks, and private offices. It's a co-working type business. And that was all she had.
All right. School board?
No report, Chair.
Housing authority?
The HRA met in November, and they heard from Ellers and Associates with an overview of TIF districts and the status of each of them in the city, which was actually really interesting. And like TIF can quickly get confusing, and I thought the presentation was like very informative and easy to understand. So if you guys are, or if anyone's at all curious about TIF in Richfield, I'd recommend replaying that. They did decertify, the HRA decertified a total of 3 districts. 2 of them were, the third one is the ME proposal that we approved on 66 and Stevens that's not moving forward. So that's a bummer. But the first 2, they lived the life of their districts, and it's anticipated that there'll be $2 million more in additional tax capacity next year with the decertification. So very cool. And staff gave an update that abatement was beginning at Penn Station on Penn Avenue, and that building should soon begin.
Surma is absent for transportation for community services.
Yeah, at the October meeting, they discussed the public works projects over at Adams Hill Park. They were dredging the pond and doing a bunch of work to the drain and storm sewer over there. So they chatted about that.
And for city council, at the most recent city council meeting, well, they had a work session beforehand about good governance, but at the main city council meeting, I presented our update of our activities from the previous year. In addition, the Civil Service Commission, which is in charge of the fire department hiring, they also presented their annual report, and the city council did other routine business. Of note, tomorrow, they will be doing their truth in taxation hearing about property taxes and so forth, and that's coming up tomorrow. All right. City planners report.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. Just only that the site plan approval for 7424 Lindale Avenue South, which was the Lion Cannabis, the item on the last Planning Commission agenda back in September, was approved on the Council's October 14th consent agenda, and just as of like a couple days ago, I received their building permits. So those are under review and moving forward. And MICC has applied for formal land use approvals and will be on next month's Planning Commission agenda, which is in 2 weeks.
Is it appropriate to ask a follow-up question to staff on the report? Yeah. With the 7424 Lindale, has there been any word about their excitement in moving forward with the project with the federal stuff with hemp laws and all of that? Has there been any changes with that?
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question.
There's a federal law to ban hemp right now, and I'm just curious if that would impact their product lines and that sort of thing.
I haven't really talked to them about that. Okay. I couldn't say. Sorry.
I'm curious if it's come up now they're applying for permits.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I do know what you're talking about, but haven't discussed that with anyone.
The legislation you're talking about is pertaining to hemp-derived THC only.
Okay.
Cannabis itself remains federally illegal, but these stores are opening up in legal states.
Okay.
Separate from the hemp-derived.
So maybe some of the products that they would have stocked, they won't be able to, but they still have
possibly,
other variety. Okay.
Yep, they'll still be able to
Thank you
use
for
the other parts of the plant.
All right.
I would accept a motion to adjourn unless there's other business.
Commissioner Charlton, motions to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Hui seconds.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn. Without any discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
All right, the motion carries and we stand adjourned.